Hello and welcome to this episode of the Hawkey PuckCast. This is a fan-run podcast about the Chicago Blackhawks. My name is Tyler, and I am joined, as always, by my three co-hosts. For the first time ever, on camera, Wally.
I'm back.
Yes, you are back. After missing the last two podcasts, Wally is actually back this time. For the first time on camera, we're also joined by Nick.
Kyle Davidson, you should not have sent down Reichel.
You have different priorities than Kyle Davidson. And John.
Tank is back on.
It is! After a quick delay and blip in the whole tanking vibe, which we'll get to with those three straight victories that happened this week. By the way, there were three straight victories before the Saturday game, if you forgot. Let's first start off by doing what we do with every video podcast. Nick, what jersey have you got on today?
Well, I'm wearing my reverse retro that soon will get Lukas Reichel on it because Reichel scored his career first goal in it. And I basically said to all you guys on Discord saying, if Reichel scores, he's his first goal, I'm getting Reichel on it. And I've already paid to get it sent off to get Reichel put onto it.
Yeah, and not even 10 minutes after you sent that message, Reichel scored his goal. We were all just like, yep, there it is. Reichel's on the back of the jersey. But along with that, I think we want to start just by going over a quick, small recap of, because we mentioned the World Juniors after last podcast. We'd only gotten up to the semifinals. Since then, the finals happened. Canada ended up winning the gold medal. There was a crazy game in the bronze medal game. Final score was 8-7 in overtime. It's ridiculous. But Team USA wins bronze. Sweden ends up in fourth. And then it was the Czechs versus Team Canada in the gold medal game. And Dylan Guenther, OTGWG. Everyone goes crazy. Kevin Korchinski, Colton Dock with one arm, Ethan Del Mastro, and Nolan Allen. And most importantly, Connor Bedard and Anna Fantilli are all World Junior gold medalists.
No,
Yay.
Bedard's
And
already
Blackhawk.
now a two-time World Junior gold medalist.
A lot of them were on the team last. A lot of them were on
Yeah.
the previous team. Del Mastro was on the previous team, but Bedard, two-time gold medalist, and there we are. Especially when it comes to the Hawks prospects. Well, you got 4 Hawks prospects on that gold medal team. Really great.
5. It's 5 actually, sir.
Yeah, 5.
Yeah.
We're
Are you
getting
counting? Are you counting
Yes.
one of Bedard or Fantilli?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, you're counting one of Bedard or Fantilli. That's nice. Don't let that optimism break our hearts. But yeah, any thoughts on how that game went? Because I thought that first of all, David Jiricek's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Your
don't
check
touch
was
Jordan
really
on.
good.
I have a comment about the bronze medal game.
Yeah, that game was kind of nuts.
Leo Carlson will be good 3rd overall pick if we have to take him.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I've seen some mocks saying that the gap between Carlson and Fantilli is not actually that big. We'll see. I wouldn't say so, but the better Carlson plays, there's nothing getting a top 3 pick, especially if it's not the first pick this year. You couldn't be in a better year to get the 3rd overall pick, or the 2nd overall pick, or the 1st overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a great draft all around. And
Yeah.
again, as you said, more guys continue to play really well.
Definitely.
Yeah. And let's move into some other important news when it comes to the Hawks. Recently, the All-Star Game rosters were announced, and because somebody had to get picked, Seth Jones was named the All-Star for the Chicago Blackhawks. Did anyone else here have a different choice?
Jake McCabe.
There it
Jake
is. There it is. And I agree
Yep.
entirely. I agree entirely.
Wrong way, John.
I'm just gonna be honest. I don't think we should have had to vote for Jake McCabe as an All-Star. I think Jake McCabe should just have been the All-Star.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's been our best player, consistently our best player.
Mm-hmm.
He's been the Blackhawks MVP this year.
Seth doesn't even have those, Wally. At that point, you just voted Caleb Jones, even though he gets healthy scratched half the time.
I would even put Alex Stalock in the All-Star game over Steph Jones.
Yes, actually. Even though he's played like half the season and he's, was broken by Casey Zekas for 2 months, I'd still pick him.
Yeah.
And with that, let's move into the 4 games the Blackhawks played this week. And I want to start, actually, I'm just going to pull this up quickly. I want to start with a stat. And this stat is the Hawks record in games with Lukas Reichel and the Hawks record in games without Lukas Reichel. In games with Lukas Reichel, the Blackhawks are 3-1-0. In games without Lukas Reichel, the Blackhawks are 8-25-4.
But he's ruining the
Now I know that is a very small sample size. Extremely small sample size. But you cannot deny it's hilarious.
It is quite hilarious.
But Kyle Davidson thinks he needs to be in the AHL. I'm sorry he doesn't. He's ready for the NHL.
Yes, he is. But is that the right move for him?
Yes! Let the kid play. He's better than half the players on the Blackhawks roster already.
Is anyone here going to debate the argument that Lukas Reichel is at minimum a top 5 forward on this roster, in this organization by current ability?
No.
No.
Dispute that.
Wait.
Say like disagree with that take.
No.
No, I do not disagree. I agree that he's top 5.
Okay. Now the question is, would it be better for him to play for a team that's winning games or a team where he's basically the only reason why they'd ever be successful?
Can you say
Probably winning games?
Probably winning games. Yeah.
Probably winning games. And considering the fact that he's also waiver exempt and he's not even 21 yet, this guy can't even drink in this country. I think that we're totally cool with him just being where he is in Rockford. It was a fun 3-game stint while it was, but it wasn't perfect. He had the fantastic game, but it wasn't like he was I think the other 2 games were good, but it wasn't like they were like blow the doors off.
The thing is, why I think he should be up in the NHL, give him more of a shot. Keep sending a young player down. It's going to, at one point, lead to Reichel being angry, and I feel like he would be, and wanting to leave the organization. He's your best prospect in the system. He's ready for the NHL. He can show he can produce in the NHL, but the fact they keep sending him down or then calling him up for like a small stint, it's going to get to the point where it's frustrating to see a young player who knows he's ready for the NHL get sent down immediately. This is my problem. He should not be sent down 3 games after a good stint. Keep him up. Let him play with Patrick Kane. Let him have the opportunity to play with Patrick Kane and show what he can do. If he doesn't have that opportunity, we don't know what else he can do, because the Blackhawks and the way they're doing stuff keep sending him down. There's going to be a hindering in his development. And the fact they want to make him a centerman does not make sense. He's been playing on the wing all season in Rockford, and he was playing on the wing in Chicago this season.
Yeah, I don't understand the whole thing with them talking about him playing center in Rockford.
I saw that today too.
Yeah, you guys both said, John, all 3 of you guys were talking about how he was basically on the wing the entire year so far. So
he did play on the wing though today. He played on the
And
wing
he did
today.
play on the wing. So it almost feels like that was kind of just a throwaway quote that should have never been said.
That's why I think Davidson really shot himself in the foot with this press conference he had today.
I think that I don't think people are really going to value what was said today, because I think that there's a 0% chance that Lukas Reichel plays a single AHL game next season.
Oh yeah.
Or
100%.
or after the trade deadline.
Yeah, I think he comes up after the trade
With the
deadline.
exception of Calder Cup playoffs, which I think he will be the main go-to guy for them as they do what they can.
Yep.
I hope to God Isaac Phillips is also down there for the Calder Cup playoffs.
I will also try my best to notice where he's playing every night at home games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I will try my best to remember to do that.
Yeah.
Because there's no conceivable way he should be playing center in the NHL. He's got to play wing.
The way Reichel is built, he is not the right size to play center in the NHL. He's too small to play center in the NHL.
Yeah, no, and his talent, and we saw it last year when he was playing center in the NHL. There's just it just wasn't working. It's just not what makes him best. He has dynamic offensive skill, but it's better for him to be on a wing working on that with support down the middle.
Yeah. I hope this offseason that he gains some weight, because he's only 160 or 176. Whether you're playing center or not, you should put some weight on you, because that's a little too skinny for my taste.
No. But with that, let's actually get into this first game with Lukas Reichel in the NHL. And this was a game against the Arizona Coyotes. We're in the middle of a homestand at this point. This was from the very first puck drop. Lukas Reichel was the best player on the ice the entire night.
And he didn't even have a point, which is shocking.
Yeah,
he
I know.
He would have had maybe 3 points that night, but he was just moving the puck well and keeping the play on his stick and helping the Hawks get up the ice pretty well. I thought Reichel clearly was the best player out there, and he was the best player all week for the Hawks. I already gave away who my pick is for best Hawk of the week.
Yeah, he had the second highest 5v5 expected goals on the team for this game at 79%. And even though he only had one shot, that shot was worth 0.32 expected goals. It's pretty high for one shot.
That's really high for any shot. But along with that, this was another game where Alex Stalock was out of his mind.
Yep.
Alex Stalock was actually, I said Lukas Reichel. Alex Stalock was actually the player of the game for this game.
Yeah, he was. Alex
Stalock was absolutely fantastic. McCabe and Seth Jones were playing again together, and they were both great in this game. It just fits so well. And I despise Jeremy Colleton so much for that one decision of never. I mean, it never made sense. The fact that Jake McCabe was playing actual ice time next to Connor Murphy for regular stretches of play, and no one understood why it wasn't working except for anyone who wasn't working for the team, boggled my mind.
I'm just wondering what happens with Vancouver, because Colleton's is their AHL coach, and
he's good for the AHL.
Vancouver's probably going to blow up everything pretty soon here.
He's good for the AHL.
What's weird though is it wasn't just Colleton who made that decision. Derek King did the same thing.
Yeah, I know.
At the very beginning, Luke Richardson wasn't playing these two together. I mean, it wasn't very long ago where we were all sitting here like, why the heck isn't Jake McCabe playing with Seth Jones? And then it finally started happening.
Yeah.
And they played well together.
They did.
I actually like Colleton in the AHL. I thought he was a pretty good AHL coach for the Hogs.
Mm-hmm.
He went to the playoffs I think he went to the playoffs in his first season.
This is only full season there.
Yeah,
It was only full
Yeah,
season. They made the conference finals.
So if we could go back in time, I would keep him down there longer.
Yeah, they put him up there too quickly. He was like the stopgap option, but then he became the permanent option. It was a weird thing that he ever got the Hawks job with his.
He should have been down there longer. He got like instant success, which might have been his undoing here.
And it probably could have made him a better coach too.
Yeah.
And then along with that, we would be remiss if we didn't mention the fact that Brett Seney made his Hawks debut, not his NHL debut. He'd played before, but he made his Hawks debut. The other superstar of the Rockford Ice Hogs. Wally, what were your thoughts about Brett Seney? Because he was kind of a wrecking ball out there.
Yeah, I think he was pretty good, all things considered. Kind of plays the same way that he plays in Rockford too. Maybe not as dynamic, but he's definitely not afraid despite his size. And his stats were pretty good too. I think his expected goals was also above 70%. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, he nearly scored in that game. He rang one off the pipe a couple of times, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, but along with that, and let me just get this so that I can make sure I got this right. Yeah. But along with that, the two goal scorers ended up being in this game. The game-winning goal was by Jake McCabe in the second period. And then Tyler Johnson ended up scoring the empty netter, and the Hawks won 2-0. And it was very simple. And, that's 2 points, and we move. But it was against Arizona, obviously not the toughest of competition, but they are playing kind of well a little bit. I mean, they're fun, they're exciting. However, they're kind of nothing when they're not at the mullet.
Yeah, it's weird how they are.
Like they've made that 5K stadium a fortress.
Yeah.
And yet
I guess if they're rumored of having a third jersey with a word mark kind of works out for them because they play in a college stadium, they might as well have a jersey that looks like a college jersey.
Pretty much. But next we head to the game against the Calgary Flames. And this is just this will forever be the Reichel game.
It's the Reichel showcase.
It's welcome to the NHL, kid. Here's your moment. You deserve this more than anyone else. Fantastic goal to start it off. He came out guns blazing to open that game.
It was between the legs too, right?
Yes,
it was a crazy goal, but even before the goal happened,
he controlled that play to start it all off.
Oh yeah. Seth Jones takes a shot. And then there's like a deflection, and then it ends up going, and then the shot he takes ends up with his stick between his legs, but it like trickles over the line. And first NHL goal, they don't ask how they ask how many.
I mean, for a goal being the first NHL goal of his career, I'd say that's one of the nicest first career NHL goals. Mm-hmm. Just the way it went out, because he controlled
better than Kirby
play.
Docs.
Yes, better than Docs. The way
I'm trying to remember Docs.
Damn it, Wally. The way Reichel controlled the play leading up to the goal, and then getting the puck off a rebound, going between the legs and bar down. Don't forget, it's a way for an NHL career first goal to remember. It was a nice one, and it shows how Reichel has the confidence to be in the NHL.
They also said after he scored his first goal that Troy Murray doesn't remember his first goal, which is kind of weird. Like, you think you would remember your first goal?
He said that again tonight. He said that again tonight. Because they brought it up again because Isaac Phillips scored his first goal.
Right, yeah.
Because it says about how someone got him the puck, and then Murray was like,
I believe it was Dickinson who grabbed the puck.
I don't have the puck for my first goal. I don't even remember my first goal.
I do
How do you not
believe
re-
it was
How do you
Jason
not remember your first
Dickinson
NHL goal?
I know
That's
it
the
was
one that you would
Dickinson
think
who
that you
grabbed the
would
puck
remember.
for,
I think it was Dickinson who grabbed the puck tonight for Isaac.
yeah, it was Dickinson for Isaac, and it was Jones for Reichel.
Calgary ends up tying the game. Elias home on the power play. But then, gotta give credit where it's due. Hawks end up taking the lead, and I think that this entire play was started by the one and only worst player in hockey, Jack Johnson.
Oh yeah, he made a great pass.
Yeah,
Fantastic pass. Absolutely fantastic stretch pass that caused the entire goal.
definitely. Johnson in that game played well, but he has shown that he has not been good in recent nights, though.
Yeah, and you can see he's now playing next to Connor Murphy.
Yeah.
And Connor Murphy's performances have slipped. And that's the thing that we've been saying with Jack Johnson this entire season. Everyone he's played with, he's made worse. We saw it with Seth Jones. And now we're seeing it with Connor Murphy, whose performances are slipping. It's just really, I guess you could say it's a sad end to a long career, but like the guy won a cup last year, so I think he's fine.
I don't know why he just didn't retire a Stanley Cup champion, to be quite honest.
That would have been fun. That would have been really cool for him. But I guess I should mention the goal was actually scored by Colin Blackwell.
Yes.
First goal for the Blackhawks. Certainly not what we thought when we got Colin Blackwell.
I mean, Blackwell, I will say this. He puts 120% out on the ice, but 200% falling into the boards. That's what you see a lot with Blackwell this year.
Yeah, that's kind of a thing. It doesn't seem like I really do like when you see him like move through the neutral zone or like try and find a breakout lane or try and find like anything.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem like the way that our fourth line wants to play is the same or fits the skill set that Colin Blackwell has. He's an energy guy, and we have a defensive, hard, massive, just checking fourth line. Just big-bodied checking fourth line. It just doesn't fit.
So I mentioned it when I went to the Oilers game. It felt like he lost every single board battle he engaged in, whether it was in the offensive zone or whether it was in the defensive zone. And especially in the offensive zone board battles, those like kill offensive zone time. You got to win those, like more times than not.
Yeah. And it's something that, since you mentioned it, I've seen it a lot more often now going forward.
My narratives are correct.
It's a lot. It's just a lack of strength on. It's just lack of strength in board battles, lack of strength in those positions, not being able to use physical imposition. It's like the problems that people fear with Brett Sini, but he's not as small.
Yeah. I see where you're coming from there.
Yeah. But then, just very quickly into the second period, actually. Very quickly into the second period. Hawks go into the first intermission break up 2-1, but very quickly into that second period, the Hawks get their third. And this one comes from Philip Kurashev, assisted by the one and only Lukas Reichel.
This was a beautiful setup. Reichel and Kurashev going on a 2-on-1 break, and Reichel basically making Markstrom freeze in his position, making him think Reichel was shooting, him saucing it right over to Kurashev, and Kurashev buries basically an empty net goal. It was a nice setup play by Reichel to Kurashev.
Mm-hmm. And this was the goal that ended up getting Markstrom out of the game. They ended up pulling him for Dan Vladar for the rest of the game, and up until overtime, Dan Vladar was great. It was a good replacement, and it didn't take long after the Hawks scored their third goal for Calgary to get one right back. And this one was you had a Huberdeau goal, and then not that long after, about halfway through the second period, power play opportunity for the Flames, and Nazem Kadri buries it, and that's 2 power play goals for the Flames in this game.
Yes, and you could see the Hawks on the PK was struggling that night, but they did later on have a very much important kill late in the game to note.
Yeah, and that was the one because there were no more goals throughout the rest of regulation, and a big part of that was because of that penalty kill you were mentioning after Seth Jones ended up getting a 2-minute minor penalty.
Yes, and the Hawks stood strong in the PK and were able to, I feel like, build momentum ready for overtime after that, because the PK, that penalty kill came with about 5 minutes remaining in regulation time, if I remember correctly. And it was a very important kill for the Hawks.
Before we get into the overtime, I do want to mention one other thing. Jamie McCabe ended up getting in a fight in this game against Michael Stone. And the reason why I want to bring this up is because I wanted to say this, because this is something that we've mentioned before, but I don't know if we've actually brought up the topic entirely on the podcast. When Jonathan Toews is gone, who should be the captain of the Chicago Blackhawks, and why is it Jake McCabe?
Well, the guy puts his heart out on the ice each and every night, no matter what.
Yep.
That's all it is. So
I also feel like he's like a leader out there. Every time there's there's a pushing match, it's always Jake McCabe getting in there if he's on the ice. Oh, wrong way again.
Yep, right there. Right there. I'm gonna need to put like pieces of tape on my walls so that I know where to point.
And he's been our best player. Yeah. I know you don't usually give the captain to the best player more times than not, but he's been our best player consistently throughout the year. So I think that deserves some recognition.
Yeah. And I do think that one thing I've noticed is it seems like franchises recently don't like to appoint, like, I don't know what it is, but teams like are so more willing to just be like captainless for like long stretches of years.
Yeah.
Which is something that you would never see in like the 2000s. Like you had people who were just the most random people ever who were just captains of teams because they didn't want to be, because captainless didn't exist. But now
Adrian
it's all about finding
Coyne and Martin Lapointe, boys.
Martin Lapointe, yes.
And Adriana Coyne. Two people, honestly, should not be captains of the Chicago Blackhawks. And they were the captains before Jonathan Toews.
But like,
yeah, I don't
still. But do we really need to be captainless? Is that really necessary?
I think the Hawks will do it just because Jonathan Toews is the greatest captain in Blackhawks history. It makes sense. I think they want to wait to see who they think would be the next guy and will be on the team longer than maybe 2 years or less. Mm-hmm. So I feel like they probably will wait. And if Toews does leave, I think they will decide to go 3 A's alternating each night.
I never got that. Like you have an A, I think they did it. I think they did it a couple of years ago. The Blackhawks did Connor Murphy he had the A on his chest for home games, and then I think
they're doing it this year too.
They are
doing it too. I never got that.
Because Seth Jones has the home A, and
Murphy is the away.
Murphy has the away A.
I never
And
got that. If someone could explain that to me, that would be great.
Last year, DeBrincat was on rotation there with Murphy.
If someone can explain
also have the A for a little bit?
Who was that?
What was that?
Dahan? Yeah, he did have.
I said, didn't Dahan have it for a game
he did. He
or
did.
two?
He did.
I don't
think
think he did. I think he only wore it during preseason.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because I thought someone was hurt and
I know for sure Andrew Shaw wore the A at one.
Yeah, I know Andrew Shaw was, because that was the year we didn't have Tays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so it was like we had Tays, we didn't have Tays. We didn't have Seabrook because Seabrook was an alternate, but now he was gone. But he was hurt. He was there, but he was hurt. So we had Keith, we had Kane, and then it was like Murphy, and then after Murphy was Shaw.
But Shaw was wearing it
have it that
Murphy.
year?
The thing was, they gave it to Shaw before Murphy.
They gave it to Shaw before Murphy, and then they gave it to Murphy, and then when Murphy and Shaw weren't there, then they gave it to DeBrincat.
Yes.
Okay, can someone explain to me real quickly what the rationale is behind the rotation? Because you don't have to have the A on your chest to be a leader.
Just having more people who are part of the leadership group. And then also the primary reason why captains exist is because those are the only players who are allowed to speak to refs.
Yes. That's why you're starting to see more teams have an extra captain on their captain's list. They may not wear a letter on their jersey for some games, but they can actually talk to the refs as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
That's a weird loophole. And a cool one.
I mean, the weirdest one, you can't let your goalie wear an A or a C. And the last goalie being named captain was Roberto Luongo in the NHL.
That was funny.
I love the C on this mask.
Yes.
That was funny.
I know in college you can wear the letter if you're a goalie, and that's what's happening with Drew Commesso.
Oh, really? I didn't know. That's cool. That's cool.
Commesso is wearing an A for Boston College. It's Boston College.
University.
Oh, I always flip up Boston U and Boston College. I'm sorry.
Boston U's the red one.
Okay.
You're going to make both of those fan bases very mad.
I'm sorry to both your fan bases. I flipped them up by accident all the time.
Eagles and Terriers fans, we may have an official apology for you. All right. But anyways, with that, we get into the very end of this game with an absolutely fantastic play.
Oh, yeah.
That
Domi
involves Lukas Reichel on the 3-on-3, feeding it to Domi, who buries it for the winner. And look, I have said that I haven't been like too crazy in terms of like wins and losses and like, you know what? This season's just kind of happening as it is.
Yeah.
I screamed and jumped out of my chair when this goal happened.
This was a great
it was a good goal.
That was amazing. It
was a good goal. I was happy when it was scored. Because
now, would I have cared?
Domi.
Go.
Oh, because that means Domi increased his trade value.
No, he's re-signing, John.
He's re-signing.
He's probably re-signing.
Well, a man can dream that we can get a first for Domi.
I mean, if we get a first for Domi, then he's probably not re-signing.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah, but
what a man!
Would I have been as happy with this goal if it wasn't Lukas Reichel who scored, he had the primary assist? Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, I was losing
Agreed.
my mind. I was losing my mind about that one kid right there and that moment more than anything else.
Reichel had himself a game, and he wasn't even named the first star that night.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
That was
a mistake. It went to Stalock.
No, it went to Domi.
No. I meant like I was going through each of the names. Yeah, it went to Stalock, McCabe, and Domi, right?
Stalock, Reichel, and Domi.
Okay.
Reichel was number 2, but he should have been number 1.
Yeah.
Oh no, McCabe was named a star for the Avs game. That's right. My bad.
Yeah.
He deserved that star.
Yeah,
He's
he
our-
did deserve that.
He's
star.
our MVP and all-star.
Yeah. And with that, let's head right into that Colorado game because so let's first start this by
We're living in the
discussing
Matrix.
let's first start this by discussing the Colorado Avalanche, your reigning Stanley Cup champions who can't even be in a playoff spot. My oh my, this reminds me of the 2011 Hawks.
Are they
It
actually
does
not in
remind me
playoff
of the
spot?
2011 Hawks, but it reminds me more of the 2015 LA Kings, who actually missed the playoffs because of a lot of injuries.
Yeah, tons of injuries. Injuries been a main issue for the Colorado Avalanche this year, especially when you consider the fact that Gabe Landeskog has not even played a game for them this year. They've missed their entire captain for the entire season. I mean, you can't expect to be anywhere near as good as you were last year if that's the case.
But yeah, the Avs have been so injured this year. It's been hurting the team, and that's why they're the bubble wrap Avs. It seemed like there were a lot of moments where the Avs even looked injured on the ice in this game. I've noticed they were dropping like a bunch of flies. You were seeing players getting basically thrown around like rag dolls out on the ice because the Hawks actually were hitting them hard and leading to heavy shots that dropped a bunch of players onto the ice. It led to like 3 players having to leave the ice a few times.
Yeah. But early into the first period, and this is something that we haven't mentioned exactly yet, but we started mentioning it in the previous podcast. With the 3 games we mentioned in the previous podcast and these 3 games we have just talked about so far, game against the Yotes, game against the Flames, and this game against the Avs, Hawks scored first all 6 times. 6 games in a row, they scored first. After barely scoring first in any of the first 30 games of the year. Why? Hockey. Hockey's stupid. Okay?
Yeah.
The hockey gods.
It was interesting to go on a streak like that ends in a disgrace to hockey later on, but it was a fun streak because knowing how the Hawks were, it was so predictable. You're going to give up at least the first goal and maybe the next goal, and maybe then you score 2 or 1, and you end in a final score of 4-1 loss. But the Hawks were scoring first, which led to them getting early momentum for themselves, which you haven't seen a lot with this team this season.
Yeah. And another thing is that it's been a while. It's been like since the Tampa game, I believe, since the Blackhawks even were down.
Yeah.
When you look at the Arizona game, 2-0, obviously they were never down there. The game against the Flames, they scored first. They went up 3-1. They were never down there. And you look at this game against the Avs, 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 2-2, 3-2, dub.
Yep.
Staying on top of the play, staying in the lead, not falling behind, not having to chase games. All the things that were the reasons why Lukas Reichel was not in the NHL were all the things he was causing us to do when he was in the NHL. Is it irony? Or is it just
coincidence? I think not.
I just think it's 4-dimensional tanking.
Yeah.
4D tanking.
Yeah, 4D.
Or is it
tanking.
8D? Or is it 8D tanking?
It depends on how the lottery balls fall.
I'm confused as to what that means, but okay.
I have no clue what it means either, and I said it.
Okay, Laffy Taffy had a nice breakaway goal, so that was cool.
Yeah, it was. It was a really nice goal.
I don't know who.
Someone else can speak.
I don't. Who was the person that made the pass? I forget.
It was Blackwell.
Good job, Blackwell. You did something good.
He's good.
Peter Mrazek.
You did something good in a 3-game stretch. Good stuff. Andre Athanasiou with nice skating and another goal off the rush. Amazing pass by Phillips. He's
Yeah,
really good.
He's very good.
Really good.
Very good.
We need it. Yeah. Isaac Phillips got scratched for a couple games there, but he gets right back in the lineup and doesn't show any signs of having any issues with being outside the lineup. He was good.
I would also like to mention that AA's skating was really good.
What's new?
It's always good. It's everything.
I'm just saying, like, that was like exceptionally good. Like it was better than.
Okay, when is it not?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Anyways, Radish battles for position at the front of the net and tips it in.
Yeah.
So good job by Radish. Mrazek played well against this defending Stanley Cup champions. That's always good to see. And then the PK was really good. We got off all 5 power plays that the Avs had.
Very noteworthy because the first time we saw the Avalanche, the power play was going off for both teams. And this time, no power play.
That's why Jake McCabe was given a star, because he was on all those power play or penalty kills.
Mm-hmm. But along with that, there was a moment towards the end of the game. There was a disallowed goal because of goaltender interference. Good challenge by Luke Richardson.
Yeah.
And with that, the Hawks end up escaping this game with a narrow 3-2 victory against the Colorado Avalanche. So yeah, that's 3 straight wins. And then we've already discussed what happens next. We've already discussed what happens next. I'm not talking about the game itself. I'm talking about the transaction before the game.
Okay.
We've already discussed that. It happened. Lukas Reichel gone. He was playing a different hockey game at the same time the Blackhawks were playing tonight. Didn't do too much better there, but we'll get to that in the Watford report.
No, they did 100% better than we did. I don't care that we lost. They did better than us.
Sure.
We didn't give up 8 goals.
Yeah, but let's get into this final game of the week against the Seattle Kraken. This game was ridiculous. This game was absolutely nuts. This game was unreal. This game was Peter Mrazek just completely forgetting that he is big.
He didn't even attempt to make a save, it felt like.
You played good against the defending Stanley Cup champions who have a high-flying offense. And then how do you put up a stinker against the Kraken?
I want to mention one thing. Nick, you're absolutely right. John, there's 2 N's in his name.
Yeah,
is there? Oh, I thought there was.
Wally, that's very funny and poignant. But this game was absolutely crazy. And I think that all you really need to say is that at the end of the first period, the score was somehow 6-1. And yet, the shot totals weren't even that bad.
Weren't even that bad. Are you?
The shot totals. No, the shot totals.
Okay.
The shot differentials were not that bad.
Yes.
It was the goaltending that screwed us. Look at the shot differentials at the end of the first period. It was like 11-8.
Yeah.
It was.
After that
11-9.
goal.
Oh wait, 11-8. Yeah, you're right.
All the shots came from the Hawks right after that Taze goal, and then it was all Kraken.
Mm-hmm.
It was shot differential. Yes, it was pretty close, but shots on net compared to goals for the Kraken is a little ridiculous. First shot on net, goal. Third shot on net, goal. Fourth shot on net, goal. Fifth shot on net.
We get it.
Okay, and you get the fifth shot in net with the goal, and then you pull the goalie after Peter Mrazek after he scores 4 goals. And when you pull him, you then have to bring in a recently recovered from illness, Alex Stalock, who allows a goal in the first 2 shots that he faces.
Yeah.
They should have held like a fan poll and like seen who would have been the best goalie, and then played
And then
him.
the sarcastic
unfortunately.
cheers came out.
Yeah. Now, one thing that was mentioned, which we haven't mentioned yet, the Blackhawks hosted like a barcade before the game. They had opened up the United Center, and they had brought in they'd allowed a bunch of people to get drinks starting at 3 today.
Did they know what was going to happen in the first period before this happened? Because it led to a rowdy crowd for that night before.
By the end of the first period, the score was 6-1, and I think that one of the funniest things you could say in the whole situation is the fact that by the end of the first period, both Adam Larson and Vince Dunn were +6s.
Yeah. It was comical after the first, basically.
Because all the goals were even strength. Every single goal in the first period was even strength.
Yeah. It was just a disgrace how the Blackhawks came out to play. They did not come out to play. No one came out to play. Goaltending did not come out to play. Defense, no way came out to play. The offense for 5 minutes came out to play, and that was it.
And this is where the Lukas Reichel 4D chess element comes in. We're all in on that tank. And my God, I did not know you could be all in on the tank this hard.
Maybe
Davidson got his wish.
This is sucking hard for Bedard. This is something else.
Maybe the whole Lukas Reichel being the thing that keeps the team together was right, because we beat the defending Stanley Cup champions with him, and then we lose to an expansion team
who's actually been playing well.
The next game.
Who has a better record
than expansion team is an expansion team.
But they actually know how to play smart, structured hockey.
The team's also better on paper, so
it genuinely is, considering all the injuries to the Abs.
Yeah.
It is genuinely a better lineup than what the Abs threw at us. But with that, we had the first period, but then, we have at least one thing that we can enjoy from what happened tonight. Isaac Phillips scored his first NHL goal, and it was off a really, really nice shot, bar down.
And he was smacking his stick to get that puck to lead to the goal, and it was a beautiful first career goal for himself. 2 nice, great first career goals in 1 week for the Blackhawks, with 2 players who deserved them, and the way they scored it, both in nice fashion. And Phillips was very nice, but it didn't spark much momentum from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly not. But with that, game got a little better before it got worse. Max Domi ended up scoring early into the third period.
Off a power play.
It was a power
play.
Trade value, or just more reasons for him to want to stay.
But Domi should have shot a puck that he clearly wanted to just feed the pass over to Kane. Back in the second period, he made up for himself by scoring a goal finally on a power play.
Yeah, definitely. And just as everyone was like, well, maybe, they just need a couple more goals and they can get back in this game. Bam! 2 quick goals by the Kraken, and the score is 8-3 now.
Comedy!
Final score ended up being 8-5. The shot totals were 30-27. Now, how does 30-27 equal an 8-5 game? Peter Mrazek is the
Bad
answer to that
goaltending.
question.
Bad goaltending.
Martin Jones.
Martin Jones was not anywhere near good enough either.
Yeah. There was no goaltending tonight on either side.
No, there was absolutely zero goaltending tonight. I will just say that I laughed after the fourth goal went in, and as the goals just kept on piling up, I just started laughing at the whole situation. The only time I was genuinely mad during this game was when Eli Tolvanen scored.
Yeah, because the Blackhawks could have had him. Davidson, you could have had him.
He wanted a tank. He wanted a tank.
You still could have had him. We still would not have been better with him. We could have had him.
7 points in 5 games, or 7 points in 8 games.
And let's be honest, Nashville is officially announcing that they screwed up. And you could have had him.
Which means, retroactively, that there were 20-plus teams that also screwed up by saying no to him on waivers.
So it wasn't just
Kyle Davidson. You were the first
Oh
team
my
on
gosh.
that list to get him. You let him drop all the way to Seattle. Nice job.
Now, here's the funny question. How much worse would it have been if, he went unclaimed and then, oh, that's your biggest rival who you just let off the hook?
Yeah.
Come on. Come on. And with that, the Hawks end up going 3-1 this week. Actually, a very solid week for the Hawks, all things considered. But I want to start over with Nick. Nick, who do you have for Blackhawks Player of the Week?
I already said it earlier. It's Lukas Reichel, hands down.
3 points in 3 games for the Hawks this week. Very good performance for Lukas Reichel. Wally, who have you got?
I mean, I'm also going to go with Lukas Reichel. I don't really know who else it could really be. Lukas Reichel's my pick, too.
How about the All-Star Jake McCabe?
John?
Lukas Reichel. Not much more else to say. He was very good.
Yeah, I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball out there.
Boo.
You know what actually is interesting? I'm going to go with a guy who averaged more points per game this week than Lukas Reichel. That's Seth Jones.
Okay.
Seth Jones had 5 points in 4 games this week.
We could have the Reichel sweep.
I would say that him playing next to Jake McCabe had a very good week. He had the assist on Lukas Reichel's first career NHL goal. I would say that if you're not picking Lukas Reichel, Seth Jones was a very good option for Player of the Week.
And he was only a -1 in that disgrace of a game against Seattle.
Yeah.
I respect it.
I recognize Seth Jones's limitations, but he had a very good week point production-wise, something we actually haven't seen much this year. So hopefully that changes because I would like to see him producing more points than he has.
Yeah.
All right, but moving on now to our Tank Commander of the Week. Tank Commander of the Week is the person, either player or otherwise, who is the primary reason for driving the bus of this tank. I'm going to start with John. Who is your pick for Tank Commander of the Week?
Peter Mrazek.
Peter Mrazek.
Nothing else needs to be said.
Yes, 4 goals on 5 shots for Peter Mrazek. Wally, who is your pick for Tank Commander of the Week?
I feel like this might be Nick's, but I'm going with Kyle Davidson.
Yeah.
And honestly, I respect it.
Yeah, no, and I will let Nick explain more into his reasoning for making his pick because I also agree with his selection entirely. So, Nick, who is your Tank Commander of the Week? And please explain in full detail with the PowerPoint presentation.
It's definitely Kyle Davidson. He's a coward for sending out Lukas Reichel.
All right, everyone grab your popcorn and a drink. We're gonna be here for a while.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna go make some more pasta.
I'm sorry. I'm fed up with the fact that he, at the beginning of the year, said when Lukas Reichel is caught up, he is here to stay. He lied about that by sending him down twice now after calling him up for 2 short stints, 1 for 1 game and 1 for the 3 games this week. What happened in those 3 games? The Hawks went on a 3-game win streak. What happens after sending him down? The Hawks play a disgrace of a game in the first period of play, right? And saying that Reichel needs to be a centerman down in the AHL when he has not played center all season. Take Commander of the Week, Kyle Davidson.
I'm going to agree with both of you. I think that Kyle Davidson is Tank Commander of the Week. Do I have any personal opinions about whether or not it was the right decision for the long-term success of the organization? I think it could be. Do I still believe that it was definitely a Tank Commander move to do so? Yeah. Regardless of whether or not it was for the long-term benefit of the franchise, which I will say right now that I think it partially was, I still think that it was a Tank Commander move, and he is our Tank Commander of the Week
I have a
for
question.
the Chicago Blackhawks. Yes.
All right. I'm not going to sit here and act like Reichel should have been sent down because he shouldn't have. He was playing very well.
Wow, you finally admit he needed to be in the NHL.
I've said that since probably the Arizona game.
But you were fed up that they called him up.
Because I
Tank.
want to watch him every night at the Ice Hogs. Does me being greedy and personally wanting to watch him make me blind to the fact that he's been playing very well? No, does not, Nick. So get wrecked. Anyway, we are, all 4 of us are sitting at our homes on our couches watching the game. Do we think Kyle Davidson might know a thing or 2 more than us about hockey, and he knows what he's doing potentially?
Potentially.
Potentially.
But the fact
Potentially.
that
I'm just throwing it out as a possibility.
I'm
If
still
you
trying
ask-
to figure
if you
out
ask
why
Kyle-
does
If you ask Kyle Davidson if Samuel Savoy's gritty was elite or not, do you think he could answer?
Maybe.
I feel like he's
still
young
trying
enough to get
figure
it.
out how
He
Davidson thinks Reichel is going to be a centerman. They haven't played him all season at the dot. He's better off just keeping him at the wing. I'm sorry, that's the wrong thing to say, that he's sending him down so he could develop into a centerman when he's clearly not a centerman at this point. And probably won't.
And I'm not going to argue that either, but GMs and coaches are notorious for saying stuff they don't mean in press conferences. Like, it happens all the time.
It can be a slip of the tongue, like, he was playing center last year, so they were prioritizing him as a center, but it seems like now they're prioritizing him as a winger, but, he might have just accidentally said, giving him time at center, even though that's not actually a plan. Andrew Sorensen isn't playing him as a center, and that doesn't seem to be the long-term plan and development of the franchise entirely. So
now, and also, Reichel's going to be playing up in the NHL at the very latest by next year. At the very latest. At the very latest. He'll be full-time in the NHL. He will not be sent down. If he does get sent down, then
the roster we have right now is a joke.
Then I will have questions. But right now, I'm not questioning it because the Ice Hogs are actually doing well, and we're not.
If there was a GM of the Year award for the greatest tank, Kyle Davidson would win that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's long-term beneficial for the franchise.
Long-term beneficial, but it is also reliant on ping pong balls.
Yes. Because right now I just say we're getting the 3rd overall pick, and if we get the 1st or 2nd, I'm happy and I'm surprised.
That's the same with me too. I've already succumbed to the fact that in my heart of hearts, I think we are going to pick 3rd, and will be happy with anything better than that.
Be pessimistic. That's what we're saying.
I can't rely on lottery balls. I can't. And with that, we are going to do a quick little recap of the prospect report, a little bit shorter than usual, just so we can get out of here. It's been a long day, long pod, long game from today earlier. So we're just going to bring up a little bit of information when it comes to the prospect report, and then we're going to head on out of here and give our predictions for the week ahead when it comes to Blackhawks hockey. So Wally, what do we have for the first and most important news in terms of prospect reports for the week?
Well, there were a bunch of trades in the CHL. It was the
Yeah, a bunch of
CHL trade
trades.
deadline. Ethan Del Mastro was traded from Mississauga to Sarnia. He's played with Christian Cairo, I believe, so far in Sarnia, and he's played pretty well. I think he scored a goal in his first or second game with Sarnia.
Yeah, and Cairo's a smaller, skilled defenseman. He's like if his brother was short and was a defenseman.
Yeah. And then Colton Dock was traded to Seattle. Now he's hurt, so it could be a month or two from what I've read until we actually see him play. But we're going to get to see him play with Korchinski and Allen, which is cool.
Yeah, and a couple other notes when it comes to Seattle. One, they had the rights to Brad Lambert, and they recalled him from Winnipeg. So now they have Brad Lambert. And I believe they just traded for Dylan Guenther, even though they don't have him quite yet.
He might get sent down for the playoffs, from what my understanding is, because I doubt Arizona's going to make the playoffs. So
no.
That Seattle roster is going on and winning the Memorial Cup. I'm saying it right now.
I wouldn't put it past them to win the Mem Cup. But then you look at what Kamloops did and traded for Olin Zellweger, and you're like, I mean,
yeah.
What was that about?
I don't understand that one.
And then anything else in terms of that?
And then Shane Wright was sent back to the OHL, but he got traded. So I think Ludwinski was named the captain now of Kingston.
That's good.
So there's that.
Yeah.
And then another important note, very, very, very important note. Tage Harding had a 2-goal game on Friday. And this was after I posted a shift by shift that Tyler recorded. So me and Tyler are taking all the credit for that 2-goal game.
Yeah, Well, on his Chicago Blackhawks Prospects YouTube channel, where he just has a bunch of clips and highlights of stuff, I recorded a shift by shift of Tage Harding and Connor Kelly playing a game against Merrimack, which is where Slava Devin plays. And I still haven't actually watched it. Like, I haven't analyzed the video yet. I've honestly only seen it so that I can go through and edit the beginnings and ends of their ice time. But that same day that it ended up getting uploaded was the same day that Tage Harding scored 2 goals for Providence. Also against Merrimack in another game where they blew them out.
Tyler, I feel like you should share this next one.
Okay. So this one starts because I like to go through a lot of the Hawks prospect highlights on YouTube every night. I'm like, okay, so I'll see what this guy's doing, So I was going and I was like, okay, so Gatineau played a game, and I wanted to see what was up in the Gatineau game. And I was watching the clip, and I saw Savoie scored. So I wanted to go back and see the goal. And then I saw the goal, and it was 10 seconds after Gatineau had scored a goal already. They were down 1-0. They scored a goal, and then they scored another goal 10 seconds later to take the lead 2-1. And after this goal, Samuel Savoie decided to gritty on the ice, which is my favorite thing I've ever seen happen on ice. Because this was so Samuel Savoie grittied. It was very funny. And then I posted the clip on Twitter because I was like, everyone needs to know that this happened. And then a bunch of people saw it, and I was really happy that a bunch of people saw it. So yeah, no. Samuel Savoie is having a fantastic season this year. Gatineau won a game 7-0 like a couple days ago. And Savoie only had an assist in that game. And that was like a bad game for him, considering everything that's going on this year. Because he's just on a massive points explosion. And it's getting to the point where we need to really consider how much of a runway he should be given to fight for a job on next year's roster.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's getting a contract. There's no doubt about that. After the season's over, he's going to get an NHL contract, 100% guaranteed. The real question is, should he show up to training camp next summer with the genuine possibility that he is one of our 14 forwards? And I think that he should get the chance to prove himself in that role. Will he actually stay that way? Probably not, because I think he would also be a really good candidate for Team Canada's World Junior roster next year. But I think he should be given the chance to make the team.
Yeah, Cole Gutman scored OT GWG for Rockford the other night. He's been quite good, kind of playing in all situations for Rockford, especially when Reichel was up with the Blackhawks, and he's been great, especially as the first-year pro. And I'm guessing that we're probably going to see him in the NHL fairly soon too. So,
yeah. Then anything else?
Just like a few smaller points. Aiden Thompson is point per game in 16 games this year for Denver. After coming back from injury, he's been quite good. Ryan Green, he has 17 points in 19 games as a true freshman. And on Saturday night, he made a ridiculous pass. I think it was to Jeremy Wilmer. It was just a ridiculous pass. He's been great this year. And then Jalen Lipin, he had an injury he was dealing with. He recently came back, and he has 6 points in 8 games for Tri-City in the WHL. Dominic Basse had a shutout on Saturday for St. Cloud State. And then my final point is that Alex Vlasic has returned from his, what was it? Was it a fibula?
It was a broken leg.
It was a broken leg.
And he came back in 3 weeks when it was supposed to be 6 weeks. So
yeah. And we discussed more of this last time because we had a feeling that it was going to be coming. And Nick mentioned how like he had a similar situation with his own leg. So obviously it's something that we knew was coming, but he played in the game played in the first game of the week against Iowa. He's played in all 4 games in the AHL since this happened, and it's just good to have him back.
Yeah.
And with that, we're going to get into a quick little preview of the upcoming week for the Chicago Blackhawks. First game of the week is the final game of the homestand, Tuesday night at home against the Buffalo Sabres. Thursday, we travel on the road to Philadelphia, face the Flyers. And then Saturday night, we travel once again to St. Louis to visit the most boring city in hockey and face the St. Louis Blues. So, Wally, I'm going to start with you for this one. These 3 games, Buffalo, Philly, St. Louis. And I guess you can also add the LA game, which is Sunday night at home, because we'll be recording before that, but we won't have our podcast out before that game. What do you have for those 4 games in terms of score predictions?
So I'm going to say we lose 5-2 to the Sabres. We win 3-1 against the Flyers. We lose 4-2 against the Blues, and then lose 5-3 against the Kings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 1 win coming out of that.
Yeah.
And then also, who do you think will lead the team in points this week?
Let's go with, I feel like Max Domi's been pretty good as of late, so I'm going with Max Domi.
All right. Nick.
Well, I'm going to be at the game on Tuesday, and I may go to the one on Saturday. So hopefully a Hawks win on Tuesday at the United Center, because Buffalo is wearing those ugly reverse retro jerseys that night where it's all white jersey, white pants, and white gloves. They deserve to lose anytime they wear that, and the Hawks should win. I'm going to predict a Hawks win in overtime of a 3-2 victory over the Sabres. Hopefully, Alex Stalock in net. Since we seem to always lose in Philadelphia, I'm going to say the Hawks will lose again in Philadelphia. And it's going to be a low-scoring game of a 2-1 game because both teams don't score much. The game against St. Louis, I would say probably a 3-2 game, probably in favor for St. Louis. And the LA game probably is a toss-up. You could say probably 4-1 LA.
All right. Is that one win for you?
Yes.
One win against Buffalo. All right. And then who do you have for the leading scorer for the Hawks this week?
I'll give it to Kane because he tends to play well against all four of those teams.
All right. And John, what have you got?
All right, so I have a 5-3 loss to Buffalo. Sorry, Nick. A 2-1 loss to Philly because John Tortorella is scary. I'll say 4-3 loss to St. Louis in regulation because they're the Blues. And let's say, what do I want to give to the Kings? Probably a 4-2 loss. Yes, very pessimistic.
4 losses.
Yes.
All right.
Because Reichel's not here.
And John, who do you have as the Hawks leading scorer for the week?
I agree with Wally. I think it's going to be Domi.
All right. And then for me, I have in this Buffalo game, I think it's going to be close, but I would see something like a 4-2 with like an empty netter as the fourth goal. Tage Thompson 2-goal night. Actually, no. Jeff Skinner 2-goal night because my narratives will be proven right, but it'll blow up in my face. And when it comes to Philly, I think that we'll get like, let's say a Hawks win in the shootout. Risto will score a point. The game against St.
What about
Louis,
Nick Seeler?
Nick Seeler. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, Blackhawk legend Nick
actually-
Seeler.
Actually, Nick Seeler, who has some of the most wildly good analytics this year.
Ooh, I have something to say about Nick Seeler. When I went to the
wait.
Iowa game. Okay. Sorry, Tyler.
Yeah, go ahead with your Nick Seeler trivia.
It's not trivia. I saw a lot of Nick Seeler jerseys in Iowa when I went.
Hawks waiver claim legend, Nick Seeler. But yeah. So yeah, I think that if Risto and Seeler both get points, that'd just be the funniest thing ever. But I think it'll be like a 2-2 with the Hawks win the shootout.
Wow, that would be the first regular season win in Philadelphia since '97.
Now Mrazek will beat the team that he was never good for. But that was like in the time when he was still a good goalie. When it comes to St. Louis, I want to just say that we're going to win this game because Nick will provide the energy of an entire fan base.
In the stadium, if I go.
Yeah, if you're there. If you go, then I think that the Hawks will win this game. I'll say 2-0. 2-0. Stalock shutout. Jordan Bennington gets a minor penalty.
I will say game misconduct. Okay.
Game misconduct. And then the last one is the Kings, and this is a back-to-back night, so I think Stalock will start in this game, and the Hawks will lose 6-1.
You mean Mrazek will start in that game?
Yeah, Mrazek will start, and the Hawks will lose 6-1.
Okay.
And with that, I will also add that I think that the Hawks' leading point guy for the week. See, I want to go with
Seth
Kane.
Jones.
I want to go with Kane, but he's not actually been that good. I mean, like, he's not been great, and he missed a lot of time last week, so he could be trying to get his legs underneath him. I'm going to say Taylor Radish. I'm going to say
Seth
the Radish does it.
Okay.
I considered Seth. And with that, that is going to be the end of this episode of the Hawkey PuckCast. Tune in next week where we'll be able to recap
Rockford?
all those games, including Rockford. We'll be able to go through Rockford more next time. And we'll be able to go through some more of the prospect information.
Boom.
And if we have time, Wally and I will be able to also share off our prospect pyramids, which we have been working on and making sure
I need
they
to
are
work
good.
on that.
And if either of you, yes, all of us will be sharing them if we so desire. So thank you, as always, for joining me, Wally.
I'm tired.
I am too. Nick.
Davidson, please stop being a tank commander.
And John.
I am tired too, but I'm probably going to stay up.
That is everything for us here. My name is Tyler. This has been the Hawkey PuckCast, and we will see y'all next time. Take care.